Okay, guys, today I'm going to be answering another Facebook user's question, and it's how to approach a weight loss stall. So the question that was asked to me from a Facebook user on the Facebook group was, how do you approach weight loss stalls? So I'm going to talk to you about weight loss stalls today. So a weight loss stall is something I'd consider on the order of several months of a lack of weight loss. Okay, a lot of times patients will ask me, "Well, I haven't lost any weight this week. Is that a weight loss stall?" Or, "I haven't lost any weight this month. Is that a weight loss stall?" No, I don't consider 1 week or 1 month weight loss stall. In fact, if somebody were to actually stall, quote unquote, in their weight loss in the months of November and December, when the average American gains weight, that may be considered a win. Okay, that's a win. If every year of your life you've gained weight during November and December and you quote unquote stalled in these months, that actually may be a win. So I don't consider 1 week or 1 month weight loss stall. And in fact, I don't even consider several months. If the weight plateaus for several months and the patient feels good and they're doing the diet and they're assessing their hunger, even a couple of months I wouldn't consider a weight loss stall. But what happens if the weight loss stall goes on for 6 months and a year? And that may be the time where I'll say, okay, let's really sit down and readdress everything. And this will be my approach, okay? I'll start, first of all, reevaluating all the metabolic and hormonal issues. Have we reevaluated the thyroid? Have we reevaluated insulin? Have we reevaluated any hormonal issues regarding estrogen, testosterone, thyroid? So I'll make sure that inflammation, I'll make sure that all of these issues have been addressed. Okay, so that'll be step one, making sure there's no new issues. I've diagnosed hypothyroidism that way. We've found autoimmune thyroiditis that way. We've found several issues with underlying inflammation. So we've diagnosed, menopause, hypotestosteronism that way, low T. So, reassess the kind of hormonal issues as these things can change over time. All right. The second thing I like to do is reassess the appetite. So go over the appetite. What's triggering the appetite? What's causing you to be hungry? What's causing you to take in more food? Is it hyperpalatable foods? Is it excessively fatty foods? Or is there a carb creep? So reevaluate the whole situation with regards to hunger and appetite, and figuring out what's leading you to take in more, and are you taking in more? So that's kind of the second step. All right. So once that's done, I like to reevaluate one specific key factor that I find in people that are overweight. Okay. The people that are overweight, I tend, just like me, they lack the post-meal satiety, which means that they could sit down and feast. Okay, so they lack that post-meal satiety. So that if you can sit down and eat 2 pounds of meat or 3 pounds of meat, or a couple pounds of chicken or fish, and you can feast that way. Well, so let's reevaluate that. Do you lack that typical stretch receptor that would give the average person a feeling of satiety? And if you do, those are the type of patients that I focus on considering, stopping, eating and pausing, right? So it's eating and stopping, reevaluating that hunger, maybe drinking water, maybe drinking tea, maybe drinking some coffee, having a big glass of water, or maybe instead of eating something that's calorie dense, have something that's very high in fiber to just kind of fill the stomach up. All right. And then reevaluating the hunger sometime later. So if there's a lack of post-meal satiety, if that feeling of fullness is something you're lacking, that's something I like to readdress when there's a weight loss plateau. Okay. And then so that's a key point I think that sometimes people miss. They say I'm on low carb diet. I'm eating low carb. And then you look at what they're eating, and they're eating, 2 pounds of meat and another pound of cheese, and they're just not they're not full. They're not getting full. They don't have that mechanism that in their stomach that says, hey, those stretch receptors in that stomach are firing off and saying you're full. And so those people need to really do the kind of the eat, pause, eat, and maybe consider water to kind of help with that stretch feeling and give some pause so the energy intake is low. Okay, and then there's two other main levers of weight loss when there's a weight loss plateau. Okay, and this is protein leverage in a low carb modality. So it's protein leverage. So basically, if you're very low carb and there's no carb creep and you've been low carb, I find that sometimes people who are weight loss stalls will be, the quote unquote butter chuggers. They'll be very high in the dairy fats, the cream, the butter, the animal fats, very fatty cuts with the bacon, excessive kind of fat. And so I find that in those people, what I like to do is actually decrease the fat and increase the protein. So try to leverage that protein. Okay. So, and the people that are excessively fatty and they're not getting full off of that fat, I try to switch it up and cut down the fat, raise up the protein a little bit, and see if that'll lead to decreased intake. So one main lever when there is a weight loss plateau is leveraging protein. Now, the second lever that I really like to focus on after all those issues have been addressed is intermittent fasting. So a lot of times people get very ambitious with intermittent fasting, and they start with this 8-hour window and they go an hour, but then it kind of loosens up again. So I feel like if somebody's really struggling with a weight loss plateau, to narrow that window, okay? Narrow that window, go anti-snacking, and narrow that window. And basically, time restricted feeding and intermittent fasting is anti-snacking. Okay, it's anti-snacking, and it's another way of kind of keeping insulin low. So it's anti-snacking, another way of decreasing insulin. A number of other issues related to intermittent fasting and time restricted feeding, but ultimately, I think the main way it works is anti-snacking, and it decreases insulin further. So narrow that window. So that's another lever. Increase that protein. Narrow the window. Okay, narrow the window. All right. So if you're doing 8 hours, try, 6 hours or 4 hours, consider one meal a day. Okay. And I've seen real improvement in this. When I put people on continuous glucose monitors and I measure their glycemia, and they, go off the dairy fat, and they go off the excessively fatty cuts, and they stop the excessive nut eating, and they stop the late eating of nuts and snacking, and they narrow that window. I mean, I've seen 100-point drops in days with this implementation. Okay, so it's definitely having a hormonal effect, particularly in some patients. So let's go over the approach to a weight loss stall that I usually take. Okay, it's reassess the hormonal issues. Okay, the metabolic issues, the inflammation, the thyroid, the sex hormones, the cortisol. Make sure that these are in line. Okay, once that's done, then you reevaluate hunger, appetite, triggers. Go over that. The third thing I like to do is focus on post-meal satiety. What is that mechanism, that stretch mechanism gone? Do we need to, implement an eat, pause, eat, where we reevaluate hunger? Okay, and we focus on that kind of the volume, or maybe some roughage to decrease the energy density. Then the two main levers of weight loss, okay, in a weight loss plateau, I feel like are protein leverage. All right, so leveraging protein, decreasing that fat slightly. I'm not saying go low fat, but decreasing that fat slightly, leverage protein. And then the last thing is playing with the intermittent fasting window. Try going on a narrower window, okay, a narrower window of eating. So those are the main points: how to do a weight loss, how to handle a weight loss stall. The levers of weight loss are right here in your hands. And I hope this is helpful. Let me know if you have any thoughts, and join the Facebook group and ask your questions, and I'll make a video about it. All right, thanks. Bye.